There are people who genuinely enjoy being alone. Not lonely, alone. You'll find them on Friday nights choosing their own company over crowded bars, declining invitations, sitting in quiet rooms while the world buzzes elsewhere. They aren't damaged or antisocial or afraid of connection. They simply find something in solitude that the world doesn't understand. Something that feels more like coming home than running away. But here's what nobody talks about. Even they sometimes wonder if something's wrong with them, because society whispers a relentless message. People who enjoy being alone are somehow incomplete. The truth lives in that tension between authenticity and acceptance. Every social interaction feels like an energy transaction in their nervous system. Psychologists have long talked about social exhaustion, but for these individuals, it's not about disliking people. It's about how their brain processes connection itself. It's not that they don't value relationships, it's that they experience them with an intensity others might not feel. They notice everything. The slight shift in someone's tone, the micro-expression that flashes across a face, the energy change when someone enters the room. Researchers describe this as high sensory processing sensitivity. Their nervous system doesn't filter stimuli the same way. What the world interprets as a preference for solitude is actually a need for recovery. We have a primitive mechanism that constantly scans for belonging. Am I accepted here? Do I fit? For people who genuinely enjoy solitude, this creates an exhausting paradox. But here's the paradox that creates the most guilt. They can have a beautiful time at a gathering, genuinely laugh and connect, yet still feel relieved when it ends. They can love people deeply and still prefer their absence. They want connection, but not constant contact. They want to be understood, but not explained. They want belonging, but not at the cost of their inner world. If you've ever felt guilty for feeling relief when plans get canceled, you know this conflict. We live in a world that treats extroversion as the default setting and solitude as a problem to solve. Researchers studying personality have found that Western culture particularly rewards social abundance. Those who seek solitude get labeled, "You're too quiet, you need to put yourself out there more." But what if the entire premise is backwards? What if needing less social stimulation isn't a deficit, but a difference? Scientists studying well-being have discovered that people experience optimal happiness at vastly different levels of social interaction. What if choosing solitude isn't about missing out, but about protecting something precious? What if it's not withdrawal, but discernment? The world calls it antisocial. They experience it as sacred. This pattern begins much earlier than most realize. Maybe it started when they were young, in a chaotic household where noise was constant and privacy non-existent, where they discovered that closing their bedroom door created a sanctuary. Or perhaps it began in a quieter home, where they learned that their internal world was endlessly fascinating. Maybe it started when they realized that groups drained them while solo activities recharged them. Over time, that preference crystallized into identity, the quiet kid, the one who's fine by themselves. Some psychologists trace these patterns to temperament, others point to early experiences. Likely it's both, biology and biography, creating a person who finds genuine nourishment in their own company. But here's the beautiful truth hiding beneath all the cultural messaging. People who genuinely enjoy solitude often possess a richness of inner life that requires protection and space to flourish. Their alone time isn't emptiness, it's where meaning grows, where creativity germinates. They're often the thinkers, the creators, the observers who notice what others miss.
Their solitude isn't absence of connection, but presence with depth. Research on solitude shows it's linked to increased creativity, stronger sense of identity, and deeper capacity for empathy. Not despite the aloneness, but because of it. But the beauty exists in balance, not isolation. Solitude becomes problematic when it's driven by fear rather than choice. Psychologists call it the avoidance cycle, and it's worth understanding. It begins when solitude shifts from preference to protection, when being alone stops being something they enjoy and becomes something they need to feel safe. The cycle looks like this. Social situations feel overwhelming, so they withdraw. The withdrawal brings temporary relief, which reinforces the pattern. But over time, their tolerance for social stimulation decreases. Soon, they're not choosing solitude, they're trapped in it. It's like closing a window to keep the noise out, but eventually the air grows stale. Instead of asking, "Do I want to go?" they're asking, "Can I survive going?" The difference is everything. In ancient social groups, every tribe needed different roles. The hunters and gatherers, yes, but also the observers. The ones who sat slightly apart and watched patterns, who noticed subtle shifts others missed. Their solitude served the collective. The modern world doesn't make that easy. We've created a society optimized for constant connectivity, open offices, networking events, social media's relentless demand for presence. But what if preferring solitude in this context isn't dysfunction, but discernment? What if it's not isolation, but intention? They're not rejecting connection, they're rejecting the mandate that connection must be constant to be valid. It's a quiet rebellion against overstimulation, against the idea that more is always better. The path forward isn't forcing themselves into extroversion, it's finding balance between honoring their nature and gently expanding their comfort zone. Therapists call this graded exposure, small, manageable steps that build capacity without overwhelming the system. That might mean attending the gathering but leaving early without guilt, saying yes to coffee with one friend instead of always declining group invitations. It means checking in with their motivations. Am I staying home because I genuinely want to be alone or because I'm afraid? The answers reveal whether they're operating from preference or protection, choice or compulsion. The goal isn't to become more social, it's to become more free. Free to choose solitude when it nourishes them. Why does solitude feel so essential to some people? Because for them, being in their own company isn't just preference, it's where they meet themselves most honestly. Social interaction, even with people they love, requires a form of self-fragmentation. They present the version of themselves appropriate to the context. They manage their energy to match the room. In solitude, that effort dissolves. They exist as a whole, undivided self. The experience of integration feels profoundly restful. This is why their preference for solitude isn't about misanthropy or fear. It's about integrity in the original sense, wholeness, the ability to exist as one unified being without the constant negotiation that social context requires. Here's what people miss about those who enjoy solitude. In their quiet depth lies a profound capacity for presence. They don't collect connections, they cultivate them. Their friendship isn't about frequency, but quality. When they choose to show up, they show up completely. Undivided attention, genuine curiosity, the ability to sit with silence without rushing to fill it. Social butterflies might know hundreds of people. These individuals might know 5, but they know them deeply. They've learned that connection isn't measured in quantity of interactions, but in quality of understanding. That depth requires space. Their solitude hasn't made them less capable of connection. It's made them more selective and more present when they choose it. The people who genuinely enjoy being alone aren't broken, and they're not missing out. They're living according to a different rhythm, one that honors their nature rather than fighting it. They've learned that their alone time isn't empty space waiting to be filled. It's full space that requires protection. They're discovering that they can move through the world without apologizing for their preferences, can decline invitations without guilt, can choose solitude without shame. The path forward isn't becoming more social or less alone. It's becoming more authentic, more free. When they finally return to the world after their necessary solitude, they return as themselves, not performing, not pretending, just present, whole, real. That's not isolation. That's integrity.